This episode is proudly brought to you by Solidea, providing all of your pregnancy and recovery support needs. Solidea's maternity range supports your changing body throughout your pregnancy and the postpartum period. The proven compression and patented fabric helps to reduce back and pelvic joint pain, swelling and varicose veins, and it's safe and effective following vaginal and cesarean section deliveries. Solidea improves recovery from episiotomies, tears, hematomas, and after cesarean births. Made in Italy, Solidea's maternity range ensures pregnant women and new mums will look good and feel great. Recommended by obstetricians and physiotherapists, Solidea is offering 20% off using the code FITNEST20. That's FITNEST 20. So if you're in the market for some new support wear for pregnancy or postpartum, definitely go and check them out with the code FITNEST20 for 20% off. So visit www.solidea, that's solidea.com.au, and check them out for yourself, and the link is in the show notes. If you are pregnant or you've recently had a baby, this podcast is for you. I am your host, Kath Bequee, a physiotherapist working in women's health and mum of three. Inside my online program, Fitness Mama, I just love helping support women to care for their bodies during pregnancy, prepare their bodies for birth, and support their after-birth recovery, helping them feel confident and strong inside out during this important stage of their lives. In this podcast, join me each week as we dive into all things pregnancy care, childbirth, and postnatal recovery, helping you through every step of the journey. It is absolutely possible to feel amazing and confident in our bodies during this motherhood journey, and I want that for you. Come and say hi to me on Instagram at FitnessMama, and let's dive into today's episode. Hello and welcome back to the Pregnancy, Birth and Recovery podcast. Today, it's a solo episode and I'm going to discuss 5 signs that it's time to join an online postnatal rehab program. So this is for you if you're pregnant or if you're postnatal and you're wanting to boost your afterbirth recovery, you're wanting to feel stronger again, then this episode is absolutely for you. Firstly, I do just want to say thank you so much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. And thank you to all our long-term listeners who have supported the podcast along the way. It is now well over 3 years old. We've released well over 200 episodes, and this podcast is listened to in more than 100 countries around the world. So thank you so much for your support and sharing this podcast too with your friends who are pregnant, who are postnatal. And thank you for the ratings and reviews this podcast has received over the years, because sharing, rating and reviewing this podcast is probably the most important way to help this podcast reach more people. And at the end of the day, if we can help one more pregnant or postnatal mama have a wonderful motherhood experience, then that is amazing. Okay, let's dive into this episode. 5 steps that it's time to join an online postnatal rehab program. So number 1, if you are feeling dissatisfied with your body, if you're feeling unhappy with your body, perhaps you're unhappy with your recovery, you're unhappy with your strength, you're feeling achy or sore, or whenever you're breastfeeding, you're not feeling comfortable. Perhaps you're unhappy about your body shape or how it's functioning day to day and you want to be stronger. Then perhaps it's time to join an online postnatal rehab program to help reinvest it back into your body after having a baby. I would argue having a baby is one of the biggest things that our body will go through in life. You know, it's bigger than having knee surgery for an ACL reconstruction. It's huge on the body, and it impacts every facet of our body and life as well. So definitely it's worth investing back into our body. Just like we have rehab after a sports injury, there's rehab after a surgery often, and I really am on a mission to make postnatal rehab something that every single woman considers and has the opportunity to do. Okay, number 2. Second sign that it's time to join an online postnatal rehab program is perhaps if you're finding you are too busy to find the time to exercise. As a mother, life gets busier. Once you become pregnant, suddenly you've got appointments, perhaps there's fatigue, you're perhaps working full time. Once you've had a baby, you're obviously caring for another human being. So we just seem to get busier and busier during motherhood. And if you are finding it tricky to dedicate to a 45-minute class or an hour class, driving to and from the gym, then this is where an online rehab program that you can do from the comfort of your home can be really helpful. This is one of the reasons I created my program, Fitness Mama, because at the time I was a mum of 3 young babies, like a newborn. I had a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. I really struggled to leave the house at the best of times, and leaving the house to exercise wasn't even on my agenda. So unless I exercised with my kids at home with me for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes, for 15 minutes, whatever I managed to get, it just didn't happen. So I know an online program isn't for everyone, and it might not be the choice that you would consider, and it might not be a long-term choice, but I do wholeheartedly believe there's a period in all our lives as a new mum where unless we exercise imperfectly at home, with our babies from the comfort of the home, perhaps the baby's kicking around on the mat. I'm personally not a huge one for waiting until your baby falls asleep, because when your baby's asleep, for me, exercise was the last thing I wanted to do. I wanted to rest. I wanted to put my foot up. I wanted to veg out on the couch, whatever it might be. So I personally like to exercise when my baby was awake, and I sort of used it as a bit of a playtime, and I involved them in it too. So if this is resonating with you, that's perhaps another sign it's time to join an online postnatal rehab program. Number 3. So first one, you're unhappy with your body. Secondly, you're finding it too busy to exercise currently. And number 3, perhaps financially you're struggling to attend costly one-on-one physio appointments, Pilates in person, costly gym memberships. Now, I'm always an advocate of seeking support when you need it. So if you need to go and see a physio, absolutely go and see a physio for an assessment, treatment, diagnosis. If you are struggling financially, you could always consider whether or not you're eligible. Like in Australia, you might be eligible to go through your local continence clinic through the hospital. So perhaps have a chat to your GP to see what's in your area. But Fitness Mama, like if, for example, the program that I've created by a physio, it's got all the physio information and workouts and exercises and support in there. And if you're struggling financially to exercise in person or at the gym, perhaps an online program is a cost-effective or something that you could consider. Okay, number 4, sign that it's time to join an online postnatal rehab program is that you need a pelvic floor booster. So your pelvic floor muscles are weak. You've perhaps had a pelvic floor assessment from a physio and you've been told, okay, you've got some weakness, let's build up your strength. So perhaps you know that you need to build up strength. And let's face it, if we've had a baby, especially if you've had a vaginal birth, likelihood is you need to build up your pelvic floor strength. And it's not something that you do once and you go and see a physio for and then it's done. This is something we need to keep working on. Even me, my youngest baby of 3 is now 6 years old. I still need to work on my pelvic floor, especially when I get unwell. For example, recently I had bronchitis and I really needed to do a pelvic floor booster after that. I have recently picked up the tennis racket for the first time in, I think, 15, 20 years. And as I was playing my first game of tennis, I thought, wow, I need to give myself a pelvic floor booster. So I think once we've had a baby, this is something that's we need to focus on, and we're going to need to perhaps do bursts of pelvic floor rehab all the way up to menopause and then beyond. So if you feel you need a pelvic floor booster, perhaps you just need to do some extra pelvic floor exercises, you need extra support and motivation, then an online postnatal rehab program that provides pelvic floor support could be exactly what you need. And then number 5, the last sign. I'm sure there's lots of others, but I love the number 5. I thought this is perfect. 5 signs. The 5th sign that it's time to join online postnatal rehab program is you want to get back into running, or you want to get back into the gym, you want to get back into tennis or some other sport, or perhaps you just want to be able to run around with your kids at the park and feel confident that you're not going to leak, but you just don't yet feel your body is ready. Perhaps it's jumping on the trampoline and you're thinking, oh, I don't think I can jump on the trampoline with my kids, I'm going to leak. Then perhaps you need a burst of postnatal rehab, because I really like the whole idea of this. It's to help women, a few things. It's to help women prevent issues. So it's to help women prevent issues with pelvic floor, prevent issues with aches and pains. And we could even go as deep as saying prevent issues with bone density and muscle loss. And so there's so many things we can prevent, but importantly, it impacts our mental health. We know mental health and physical health is so interlinked. Physical exercise helps us sleep better, which helps us feel better. I know when I can't get out to exercise as much as I usually do, it definitely affects my mental health. I get a bit more snappy with the children. So perhaps you've got these goals, you're just not feeling confident getting back into your goals. And this is what postnatal rehab, especially my program Fitness Mama, is all about. It's giving you the confidence in motherhood, the confidence that, I want to be able to go for a run. Let's go. The confidence that, I want to be able to play tennis again down the track. The confidence that you can do what you want to with your bubba by your side. So with all that said, I'd love to invite you to join us inside Fitness Mama. If any of this has resonated with you today, we have a 7-day free trial. Absolutely no obligation to continue beyond the 7 days. Come and check it out. There's a beautiful app. There's weekly support from physio, myself answering all your questions, jumping in, providing the motivation with the pelvic floor. There's a beautiful selection of workouts, strength, cardio, return to running program, yoga, Pilates, stretch and release, pain modifications are provided. So it's everything you need to do your postnatal rehab from the comfort of your home successfully, effectively, so that you can reach your goals. That's it, ladies. Have a fabulous day. And I look forward to you joining me next week for another episode of the Pregnancy, Birth and Recovery podcast. Thanks for listening to the Fitness Mama podcast, brought to you by the Fitness Mama freebies found at www.fitnessmama.com/free. So please take a few seconds to leave a review, subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and be sure to take a screenshot of this podcast, upload it to your social media, and tag me at Fitness Mama so I can give you a shout out too. Until next time, remember, an active pregnancy, confident childbirth, and strong postnatal recovery is something that you deserve. Remember our disclaimer: materials and contents in this podcast are intended as general information only and shouldn't substitute any medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. I'll see you soon.